What is up, party people? Happy Friday. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. A beautiful day today. You know, it's interesting. Thank you for letting me come into your homes. I was sitting there thinking, I have a lot of friends in this business. I've been in this business a long time. And you guys might hear me every now and then. And a lot of my friends are like, man, I can't believe that the media hates Trump. And I'm like, media doesn't hate Trump. I don't know where you get the media hates Trump. No, they do. They hate him. They call him a Nazi. They call him all these things. They don't hate him. They love him. They hate his policies. They love his personality. They hate who he is as a person, but they love the personality that drives all of the stuff, which is clicks, likes, shares. See where I'm going with this? It is fun to watch people freak out over the fact that I know you people. Been on your shows. I know you, some of you personally. What you tell me behind closed doors is, I want her policies to win. I want him never to go anywhere. Because he drives it all. You take him away from MSNBC, what do you have? Morning Joe, what are they going to be talking about? Well, so there she is. Like, she's doing that, so there's that. You take him away from CNN, what do they have? What's Dana Bash going to talk about at this point in time? Honestly. Oh, sure, the nightly news and stuff like that, they can get away with it. They only spend 30 seconds on anything anyways. That's the way it's always been. It's the way it'll always be. The New York Times. So you see, Donald Trump is an industry. He is not, I repeat, he is not a political being that people think he is when it comes to the media. He's an industry. The dude is a cash cow. Watching Hillary going, I think he's going to go to Madison Square Garden having the second coming of a Nazi revolution like they did in 1939. No, he's not. In fact, dare I say this, he goes out there on Sunday, keeps his first thing, you need keep the message to the message, which is hard for him because dude is ADHD, right? Can we all admit? I mean, every piece of candy, long story short, that makes a longer story long, but he's going to go out there and do a celebration. There's going to be a ton of people there. It's going to be a celebration of America. And, of course, he's going to do the usual thing, call her an idiot and all those kind of things, whatever. They're going to cover it, though, like it's their Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl. It's their AFC, NFC championship game. This is their Final Four before the final. They're pumped. They're excited. Donald Trump is a godsend to an industry that has been fractured and is struggling. Nobody pays attention to a lot of these shows. He's going to be on Joe Rogan. I think he's already taped Joe Rogan. I'm not quite sure. I will tell you this. He goes on Joe Rogan. He'll get a lot more views. Now, for me, I thought the Joe Rogan thing is, like, I get you're going to go on there. I would have rather seen you go on, call her daddy, because if you got to reach out to some people, especially women, that would have been the place to do it. And you could have, I think you would have got more run that way if the goal was to reach more people. But there isn't a goal at this point in time to reach more people. Everything is said and done is done. It's a coin flip when it comes to people heading into the booth that day. Are they going to pull the proverbial, trigger for either of them, or are they going to skip out? I don't know. But what I do know, after being in this industry for all the years I've been in this industry, they live for this guy. This guy drives revenue like you cannot believe. This guy is everything they want and despise at the same time. This guy, well, he's not a Nazi. That's been my favorite thing over the last couple of days is talking to people who believe he's a Nazi, believes he's a fascist. First of all, let me tell you what you do when you do that. You actually diminish what took place in the late 30s through the mid-40s. You diminish the evil that was Adolf Hitler. You diminish the suffering that people went through. You diminish those things. Because if you're running around, let's understand what a real Nazi was. Let's understand when you're comparing him, for all the talk of the Atlantic this week, they actually had a piece out earlier in the week that compared him to all the worst parts of Stalin, Adolf Hitler, and Mussolini. I want you to understand, 3 of the worst human beings to ever roam the earth. Donald Trump hasn't killed anybody, right? He's not decided to round up all the Jews and gas them. He has not done any of those things. Oh, his hyperbole can be annoying, and I think we can all agree, hey, you know what? Every once in a while, make it a little bit easier on yourself, brother. It's not that hard. But he is a dream to these people. And that's the thing I don't think people understand, because I see a lot of it. I watch, I'll watch the stream with you guys, everybody, and I see the tweets and the texts, and I get it from, people in my industry. Here's the word. He's not. He is the best for them. They do not. They pray he doesn't go away. Their worst case scenario for their business. Now, get it. Policy-wise, they want nothing to do with what he has, right? Because, again, he's Adolf Hitler. But on the other side of it, they're living for this moment. Like, it's freaking crazy how crazy it is. They're like, because they understand. He goes away. They saw the dip in their world. They saw the dip when he went away for that year and a half after January 6th, January 20th. He laid low for a while. All that. They saw the dip. And I'm telling you guys right now, their fear is he does go away. Would they like to see her as president and him as a person that never, ever, ever leaves? Yeah. But they're looking for the next one. And the next one, by the way, is going to be, because they tried it on with Ron DeSantis, right? And the problem with Ron is he's Ron DeSantis. I mean, guys, I've always said this about Ron DeSantis. And, I've met him a couple times. I've interviewed him. Ron is great at the job. He's horrible at getting the job. That's just plain it. He's horrible at getting the job. In a day and age when you have to have personality plus, in a day and age when you have to be strong, in a day and age when you have to be all of the things, when it comes to in front of the camera, Ron struggled a bit with that. And I think I think we all understand that. And it's just, the whole thing with them is interesting. They tried it on with him. Like, let's just take a peek. Find out if Ron could wear the mantle as the next Trump, right? The next person. Ron wasn't good at it. They think Elon's it, right? Elon could be the next one. And Elon's got staying power, right? It's like getting a young pope, right? Because you get an old pope, they're not going to be there very long. And rarely do they go, we should get a 33-year-old pope, right? Because it's a lifetime thing, unless you decide to bounce away and say, I'm done. But Elon, they're like, okay, this guy, maybe. Like, we used to like him, like Trump. You guys, everybody forgets that. How many times was Trump on Morning Joe before, he became a Nazi? Before he decided to go over to the other side? How many times were you on Morning Joe? Oh, so much. He knows these people. He understands. He loves playing the villain. That's the other side of it. I was talking to Corey Lewandowski, and he's like, Trump's fine playing the villain. He does. He likes playing the villain. It's okay with him. Because he gets something out of it too, which is staying power. They feed off each other. I said at times, you know what they remind me of? They're a toxic relationship. You ever met people in a toxic relationship where you're like, those two should never be together, but yet at the same time, they can't quit each other? It's kind of the same thing. So they both feed off each other, but they do not want him to leave. As awful as they say he is, that helps them. And he feeds into it, and he likes it. I've done a lot of stuff over the last couple of weeks talking about, the media and Trump, and watching people freak out over the fact that, they're doing this and they're doing that. Yeah, they go after him. That's great. Charlemagne the God yesterday. We'll play some of that stuff here in a little bit as we get ourselves set up in the room. But all of that stuff aside, those people live for Donald Trump. His relevancy in today's world to be able to walk anywhere, to cause a scene, good, bad, or indifferent, to make news makes them relevant. And I don't think people understand that. I don't think people really get that that's the thing that happens with a guy like Donald Trump. And it happens once, maybe every couple decades, where you'll get a guy lightning in the bottle. Obama was lightning in the bottle when he came up out of nowhere. Remember, it was only, 16 months from the time he spoke, at a convention, and to the next convention, he was going to be the dude that was going to be president. Lightning, but nobody's ever been like Trump. Trump is politician without being a politician, a businessman, and he's P.T. Barnum, all wrapped in one. And you don't find that much. Love being here. I'm pretty pumped. All right, Headless Bill, I just want to say, so you do have a head. I was really shocked about that. Yesterday, because I got an email from you, like, you don't have a head, dude. And you asked me to bring you food, and I did.
You did. You brought me cheesecake and a Diet Pepsi, which doesn't entirely make up for you making fun of my deformities, but it was appreciated.
This is very exciting. I'm pumped to be here. So I'm just getting used to all of this stuff because obviously I just walked in here. I was walking by. They're like, hey, Chad, you want to do a show? I was like, I got nothing going on. Let's do it. So how's the phones work, man? I have no idea how any of this stuff works. Do you know? Are you familiar with it?
From that side of the glass? No. You see that call we got? Or on the screen, on the phone itself.
Okay, there we go. You pointed up in the air, and I'm like, dude, I don't see anything, brother.
I pointed at my screen. Just hit the button next to it, and it should go on.
It? I was like looking, is there another thing in here? All right, let's go with Pat. Hey, Pat, what's going on?
Hey, I just wanted to tell everybody when they go and vote, make sure when their ballot comes out that it has Trump's name on it. Make sure, if you're voting for Trump, make sure it's Trump, because it has been known to be switching them. So just FYI, check your ballot before it's cast.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. We'll check the ballot. Appreciate that. Thanks so much. So make sure that if you're going to go out, that's the other thing. Everybody's like, they're going to cheat. I was watching something today. I was watching Mark Halperin, and he had on Newt Gingrich, and he's like, I think they're going to cheat. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to cheat. I mean, everybody's going to say somebody's going to cheat. And by the way, I don't know how this ends as far as, are we going to see a blowout? I think it's a possibility. But would I be surprised that if after Thanksgiving we're still talking about this? I don't think so. I think there's a distinct possibility that, everybody's going to lawyer up. And for those of you out there on the left who are like, well, we would never do that. She's got a fleet of lawyers, as did Biden. They all have a fleet of lawyers in a just-in-case scenario. They feel they've been robbed. And trust me, at times, you sit there and go, how could I lose? Like, I've always said this about Trump. Nothing you can do about 2020. You can't. So looking backwards isn't going to fix this problem. Do everything you can to protect what's going to happen in the future. All that aside, and I say this, all that aside, you look forward, you let everybody else handle that stuff. You let everybody else handle all of the nuances and the fights that are going to happen when it comes to voting, and you focus on the things that matter. And the one thing, as I was telling Chris, he's having fun. And Trump, it's an odd situation. Trump is one of the few politicians who I think absolutely loves the campaign. I think he loves. In fact, I think he likes campaigning more than he likes the job at times. So that's interesting because I think he treats it as it's a party, right? It's a tour. I'm on tour. I'm having fun. So, all right, let's go to Chris in Cottontown. Hey, Chris, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing good, brother.
Hey, I am really, really irritated. My wife and I just got done voting early, and we were the church we were at. They're using, I guess, those Trinity machines, and it doesn't give you a receipt. It doesn't print anything out. So then I go to take a picture before I punch through the button to send my my vote, cast it, and they're like, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to delete that photo." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "You cannot take a photo of that. It's a state regulation or state law or whatever." I'm like, that does not give me any level of comfortability. I don't understand why I have no proof showing who I voted for.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I know that some places, some states are giving people proof where you can follow your ballot and where it is and it counts. I mean, nobody else can see it but you. But even then, at some point in time, Chris, I appreciate your call. I don't know if people are going to, I'm pushing buttons, dude. What am I up to? See, Bill, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, man. All right, look, we got some calls to get to. I'm going to try to get set up in here because, I kind of walked in and we were all BSing and talking and stuff and, just trying to figure out exactly, still how to turn the dang phones on. So we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back. I'm Chad Benson. In for Matt Murphy. We'll be in for Brian a little bit later.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
New CDC numbers are out on this hamburger E. coli outbreak. We'll tell you about it at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So, did Donald Trump do that, guys? That's what I was hearing? Donald Trump got the E. coli from McDonald's? How pumping is that? That guy's the bomb. How cool is, it's funny, today Kamala's going to be in Texas and Beyonce is going to be there. And look, take away the celebrity factor, and I don't care. I don't care if a celebrity comes out and says, hey, Belle, you should vote for Trump.
Beyonce's going to be with Kamala?
Yeah.
She's making an appearance with her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So my thought is, no, if ever you think, you know what, I wasn't going to vote for, I don't care who, if Kid Rock comes out and goes, you should really vote for Trump, and you weren't sure, do your research, please. I don't care who it is. Right? Never vote based on a celebrity. And the fact that they think that works. And for the Democrats, where I think they missed the ball last night, there's, Bruce Springsteen hates me, Bruce. I'm super excited to be here. You guys should vote for Kamala because, she wants to kill babies or whatever, and let people into the country. You're thinking to yourself, who's that for? Well, he's worth, what, $800 million? They talk about, hey, you don't understand that these people like Trump and these billionaires, they don't like you. I heard Michael Keaton this week, Batman. I challenged him. I said, dude, I'll vote for Kamala if you're willing to be my friend. Because you said Trump doesn't want to be my friend. If you're willing, Batman's willing to be my friend. And I'm not talking about a fake either. I'm talking about hanging out. You may put me in a movie. We may do a podcast. I don't want any crap. I'm serious. I want some serious friendship. And you know what? I haven't heard a word from him. I gave him my personal text message. I gave him my DM, the tweet. I gave him everything he needed. He didn't want to be my pal. And if you don't want to be my pal, I'm fine with that. I'm just telling you, it was there because you don't want to be it either. You just want somebody to vote for the person you want to vote for. And if you're choosing it, and I don't care what side, the aisle you're on, right? You vote for who you vote for. This is one thing I do. In my national show, I never talk about telling anybody who to vote for. You know where I stand, but you got to make your own mind and decision because that's what it is. I've always said this. I love Trump's policies. At times he drives me crazy and he makes it way harder than he should. I think we could all agree with that. I like the fact that he pushes back at times, but my job was never to get him elected. That's his job. My job is to bring you the stuff that's real, that's the truth, and to cut through the BS. Amanda in Shelbyville, what's happening?
Yes. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I just wanted to say about the cell phones, about taking that picture. There might be laws about that because I believe that cell phones could possibly be used to somehow maliciously at the voter box.
Yeah, I figured as much. I know some states, they give you like almost a receipt in certain areas where you can follow along where your vote goes and everything like that. It's like it's on its trip. But when it comes to, you can't take pictures. And I understand why. All right. Let's and I know people are worried about their votes and we've got to have some trust. I mean, it's okay to have a little apprehension, but I think most people agree. If we're not going to have any trust in the system, that's not going to be a healthy relationship for us in America. It isn't. So
I trust the system.
Yeah, and I think they're doing everything. Yeah, look, some people aren't going to trust the system. I appreciate your call. Let's see if I screw this up again. Did I screw it up?
I think that's why that man. No, I just believe that's why the man was upset because they said no phones. But that might be one of the reasons.
Yeah, that might be. You're trying to do everything you possibly can. Appreciate your call. And I get that people are trying to do everything they possibly can when it comes to the system, and they're trying to do their best. The fact is we got to cut them some slack. And having come from Arizona, which is where I'd spent the last 6 years, trust me, I've seen some lunacy, I've seen some chaos. I've seen some stuff that's been curious, but I've also had friends that have worked at polls. And let me tell you something, I don't think anybody deserves death threats. I don't think anybody should have to hide their kids. I don't think that's good for any of us. So, again, I'm sure we'll talk more about this. Love hearing from all of you. My name's Chad Benson. I'm in for Matt Murphy, right? Headless Bell's here. I brought him some snacks earlier because he sent out a joke. Oh, yeah, would you bring me a cheesecake and Diet Pepsi? What did I bring you?
Cheesecake and Diet Pepsi.
There you go. See, look at that. I'm a man of my words. I didn't even tell him I was going to do that. So we got some news coming up. I got some other stuff. I think I found out how to play stuff. Okay, let's play one just to see if it works. You ready?
You'll see next week.
Did you hear it? Okay, cool. It works. So we're going to do some stuff when we come back. Finally, I'm kind of set up. Chad Benson from Matt Murphy on Super Talk.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes, and the number of people infected with E. coli after eating McDonald's Quarter Pounders has risen. Here's Alex Stone.
As McDonald's now confirms yellow onions from Taylor Farms in California are the source of the E. coli, the CDC releasing new numbers showing 26 new cases linked to the Quarter Pounders, a total now at 72. 12 more people have been hospitalized, and 3 new states are added to the list: Michigan, New Mexico, and Washington. Chris Hardcastle was infected.
I actually felt like I was dying at first.
Other companies that use Taylor Farms onions are now pulling them off their menus as well.
Here in Nashville, Metro Police providing a first look at the person they say may have killed a man Monday night in Nashville. They posted 2 images of who they want you to look at and call them if you can help identify him. They say this man was fighting 59-year-old James Sutton. Sutton was shoved to the ground, suffered serious head and spinal cord injuries. He was found laying in the road at 5th and Russell Streets and later died. Go on our social media for the images and numbers to call if you can help identify this suspect. Relatives of the Menendez brothers speaking out after the Los Angeles County DA is seeking to resentence them for the 1989 murders of their parents. Here's one of their cousins, Natasha Leonardo.
The new evidence that has come out just continues to support our belief. We've been fighting for them from the beginning, and I think there should not be a doubt it's time for them to come be with us.
In making his recommendation, the DA addressed allegations the brothers were sexually abused by their father. And while inflation has fallen to under 2.5% in the United States, prices are rising faster in Russia, with that country's central bank taking extreme measures. Russia's central bank raising its key interest rate to 21%, the highest level since the breakup of the Soviet Union. Factories running at full speed in Russia to produce military products for the war in Ukraine, and sanctions on imports have ramped up the production of domestic goods there in Russia. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise, advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997wtn.com/epic.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
I'm seeing that the Washington Post is not endorsing anybody. So the LA Times didn't endorse somebody, and then the editor quit. The Washington Post is not endorsing any presidential candidate, says it won't endorse any future presidential candidate as well. That's an odd thing considering how left they are. I don't know if anybody's going to, and that's Bezos is coming out. Bezos doesn't own the LA Times. So the fact that the Post isn't doing that is interesting. Some of their people are already hammering them, talking about the political cowardice. It's not political cowardice. Maybe people are just sick and tired of it. Have you thought about that? Maybe, it's like the exhaustion of having to fight both sides and maybe saying, hey, we are here to report the news. We're going to stay as neutral. I'm just kidding. The Washington Post would never do that. Let's pivot for a minute, if we shall. And I want to talk about something that's a huge issue that it doesn't affect a lot, but it became a national issue. And by meaning it doesn't affect a lot, the reality is the trans issue is a serious issue that we need to talk about with kids. Kids, I'm 53 years young. I say that because it's my dream, being young. The reality of what these kids are going through, it's tough, right? You got, especially young girls, being influenced, many of them on the spectrum. That's just a serious issue that isn't being talked about. On top of that, these are kids who 35 years ago, 40 years ago, they would have probably been bulimic. They may have cut themselves. And now it's about the trans issue, right? Like, okay, no. You're just in the wrong body. So if you guys haven't heard, there's a big study that is supposed to be out. $10 million. Took about a decade. And the lady refuses to release it.
The issue over giving children puberty blockers is a politically charged one and is the center of multiple legal battles. More than 20 states have banned such treatments on kids, and the Supreme Court is now taking up the issue with a ruling expected next summer. Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy, in charge of this study, is used to being at the center of the controversy. She's an advocate for transgender rights and has been used as an expert witness to provide testimony against states banning adolescent puberty blockers and gender-related surgeries. The study her team conducted involved 95 adolescents averaging 11 years old. The children were being treated with puberty blockers to prevent things like the development of breasts or preventing their voice from naturally deepening.
It's a tough situation because you've got kids that are confused and you want to love your kids. And you somehow are desperate. You're being told a massive lie that if you don't do these things, your kid's probably going to kill themselves. You're being told this is the only way to maybe save your child. You can have if it's a girl, you can have a living son or dead daughter. That's the stuff that they've said. I mean, these are serious issues because you're playing with children. Here, you're playing with their lives. You're playing with kids who have not fully developed the brain. I mean, we're talking about, like football. Like there's a big debate in this country. Should kids under the age of 15 play tackle football? Should they not be able to play tackle football until their junior or senior year in high school? Should they not be able to play it until college? We're talking about things like that. Yet at the same time, we're like, yeah, feel free to experiment on my kid, just in case. And the insanity of this and the fact that the left has allowed it to get out of control. And I've said this for a very long time. The reality of what is going to happen is this isn't going to stop until the lawsuits, the big lawsuits, not the off one here or there. But they're going to come, and they're slowly but surely doing it. So this lady goes, she gets $10 million, right? We're $10 million. That's good money, right? You get to do gender study stuff, which is basically, this is the only way you're making money. And you're going out there and you're doing this and you're studying the puberty blockers. Do they work? Do they not work? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Is the well-being better? So 10 years she studied. By the way, the average child is 11-year-olds they're studying. Guess what happens? She doesn't want to release any of the data. What? Yeah, she doesn't want to release any of the data because, well, it could be used politically. Okay, I just want to say this. Everything in the world is going to be used politically. You could say hi today to somebody. Hey, what's going on? And somebody's going to be like, you only said it like that because you're white. You need to get where I'm going with that.
Research on the use of puberty blockers on children is limited, and there's a mixed bag of results. A study in Australia by the Sachs Institute Review found positive mental health outcomes outnumbered those with negative outcomes. The Journal of Sexual Medicine found puberty suppression may be considered valuable in the management of gender dysphoria in adolescents. A 4-year study in the UK found no evidence supporting transitioning drugs for children. And the American College of Pediatricians says there is not a single long-term study to demonstrate the safety or efficacy of puberty blockers. More than 120,000 children ages 6 to 17 were treated for gender dysphoria from 2017 to 2021. Puberty blockers have not received FDA approval to treat gender dysphoria. In a Washington Post poll, 68% of Americans are against providing puberty blockers to children 10 to 14 years old. 58% are against hormone treatments for those 15 to 17 years old.
When's the last time we had anything where a majority of us agreed on something? Probably very rarely. We fight because we love our kids. Look, if your kids, and I've worked in a lot of industries. I've worked for many years in the financial industry, and I ran like phone rooms back in the day, way back in the day. And I had a friend. Her name was Robin. Robin used to be a dude. Robin waited till way older. Robin did ever think kids should get anywhere near this stuff. And I loved Robin, right? You know, you could always, people would call in and go, hey, some guy just called me. So it makes me laughing like, oh, Robin. But the reality of 15, 20 years ago, you know, look at Bruce Jenner that's now become, you know, what's Jenner's name? I forget. Caitlyn. I was going to say Kylie, but that's one of the hot ones, right? It's a Kylie and another one. But that's the younger one. The reality is you know, Caitlyn has already said, look, I was well into my 70s, living with it for my adult life. If you're over 18, you're not going to hurt anybody. Your decision is your decision. But for children, if I have a 14-year-old son. If I said to my son, who plays hockey, and he wrestles, if I said, hey, Jack, let's get you jacked up, man. Come on, let's get you some steroids. Let's get you pumped, man. Let's get you up another weight class, right? Let's do this, and then maybe we'll start cutting some weight, get you down a weight class. Let's do all. Did take my kid away, and rightly so. If you saw me take my 13-year-old stepdaughter in to get a tattoo, I'd be in trouble. The fact that you're willing to alter somebody's future potentially for something that may be very momentarily, but you're not doing it because you care about the kids, you care about the cause. And that's the biggest issue. The cause, like anything else, whether it is the Black Lives Matter, whether it is, you know, the Me Too movement, it became about the movement. It became more important than anything else. The cause was the thing that mattered. And this is that similar thing. And even more so than anything else, you know, Me Too, those are adults, right? Because otherwise it would be, you know, child molestation. Racism, we all agree racism's bad. The difference is, though, so many people here were fighting something and an agenda for people who couldn't consent, who couldn't do things. And it's funny, when I talk to the left, they all, in their mind, they understand. Look, you can't take your kid to get steroids or this, but yeah, it's okay to do that, because they don't want to feel bad. So much of it is that virtue signal. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want somebody else to judge me in here. Who is looking around? Who may judge me if I don't say the right thing? Knowing full well, if it was their child, unless they're pushing for it, because you do get some of those wackadoos out there, they'd push back. There's no, not my kid, not my kid. An agenda. And it's scary and it's sad. And I look around here, and this is something that is happening, and we have to fight it. Again, you can love your kid, and if your kid's got issues, a lot of kids out there do, especially nowadays with social media and all that kind of stuff, understanding that so much of this stuff is momentary, and I think we all know that because we've all been through it as adults. But we've got to pay attention, and you got to understand that This is not about them. It's not even about getting them to change, because the minute they get them on that path, they're done. Their job is done. Their job is to get them on the path. Our job is to get them through life. Love hearing from all of you. The phone lines, you know what's weird? And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've never taken a phone call on my national show. I've had my show for 10 years. I've never taken one phone call. I don't even know the number of it. I've never taken a phone call. I do texting.
Well, is this refreshing for you or a pain in the ass?
You know, it's weird. It was something I've never, ever done. It's because I'm always going. I sometimes will do 3-4, segments, things inside of a, like a segment like this. I'll pump through stuff. I just never, it's been really weird that I've never done it. And I don't know why I've never done it. I mean, I thought, because I text, right? Tweet at me. Those things I find to be easier because I can go through a whole bunch without stopping down. Because as we all know, hey, as much as people love everybody, the fact is sometimes people get on a different path, and you and I both know that.
Well, Matt's super big on the text line too.
Yeah. So, and you could text, right? We got the text line. We got all of that stuff. You guys know it better than I do. So I'm still trying to set stuff up here. By the time this hour's over, I think I should have everything set up the way it should be. But see, people are calling now going, see, I've never taken a phone call on my show.
For those that want it, both the text and the call-in line, they're the same line, just use different apps, is 615-737-9986.
There you go. He knows better than I do. I've got the number somewhere. I could not figure it out where the heck it went. It tripped out. John Voight just followed me on the old Twitter machine. You can tweet at me at Chad Benson Show. That is my actual tweeting line. So feel free to tweet at me. And of course, you've got the text line here, and you can tweet at us. I love hearing from all of you. Again, I'm new, trying to figure stuff out. I've done this for a long time, but this is all a new setup for me. And they got the lights, and you got the heater. It's a trip, man. It's a trip. So we got a lot of stuff still to do. Next hour, we're going to do something interesting. We're going to talk about that AI thing that I talked about a little bit with Chris. Speaking of kids, because I've worked in AI for a long time. And my uncle and I have a company that we do a lot of AI stuff with, a lot of this chat GPT and stuff. We tested a lot of this stuff for a very long time. And some of the new stuff coming is going to be crazy, interesting, but it's terrifying. And what happened to this kid in San Francisco, I think should be a wake-up call, not just for us, but also for what's going on out there. Because in a day and age, and I've been in this business for a long time, you've got to understand the disinformation, misinformation, and stuff that's going on out there is crazy. And what's going to be coming soon, not this election cycle, but the next few, is crazy. I'm Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy right here on Super Talk 99.7.
Another big listeria meat recall. I'll tell you about it at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, we got some people calling. Like I said, I haven't taken calls for years, so we'll see how this goes. I don't know if it's going to break anything. I've already touched the wrong phone on several occasions, pushed the wrong buttons. Paul, what's happening, Paul, in Summertown?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my call.
No worries, brother. What's going on?
Well, I just had one question for, I guess, for you or maybe for someone in the listening audience. I'm a registered voter here in Tennessee, or so I thought I was. And I went to cast my ballot, and I was told I couldn't vote.
And the reason was?
Is because, get this, I did not vote in the last 2 election cycles. So therefore, that somehow just throws me off, kicks me off the roster, or the voting roster.
You got purged. You probably, now I don't know if they send out an alert, they send out mail. But yeah.
I've just never heard of such a thing. And it's just, to me, it almost seems like, well, I just didn't, I don't know, I was kind of on the fence about it before, but I really felt like this year, if it ever mattered, I'm 51 years old, I've never voted.
So we got to jump, my man. I appreciate that. And we'll see. We'll find out. I know that, was it Texas just purged like 1 million people. If you don't vote and they send you out that mail, man, you better take a chance to look at that mail and say, oh, my God, I'm not registered. Smart thing to do is double check you're registered if you want to vote. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. This is Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got a crash getting in the way. This is going to be 440 eastbound right before 24. The left shoulder is blocked there in South Nashville. Got a big listeria meat recall. This time it's hit Costco. Costco and Acme Smoked Fish Corporation say it's for their Kirkland Signature smoked salmon products sold in Florida at Costco stores between October 9th and October 13th. The company says all affected products have been removed from the stores or not available. Anyone who may have recalled smoked salmon products being told not to consume that fish, return it to a Costco store for a full refund. The number of people infected with E. coli after eating McDonald's Quarter Pounders has risen, as McDonald's now confirms yellow onions from Taylor Farms in California are the source of the E. coli. The CDC releasing new numbers showing 26 new cases linked to the Quarter Pounder. The total now 72. 12 more people have been hospitalized. 3 new states added to the list: Michigan, New Mexico, and Washington. Other companies that use Taylor Farms onions now pulling them off their menus as well. Here in Nashville, we're getting a first look at the person police think murdered a man Monday night. We've posted the images to our social media with numbers to call if you can help. 59-year-old James Sutton was in a fight with another man. He got shoved to the ground and suffered serious head and spinal cord injuries. He was found laying in the middle of the street at 5th and Russell Streets and later died. The Los Angeles District Attorney recommending that Eric and Lyle Menendez be resentenced. They're currently serving life in prison for the 1989 murders of their parents.
The Menendez brothers one step closer to freedom. Prosecutors recommending a resentencing for the men for the 1989 murder of their parents.
We're going to recommend to the court that the life without the possibility of parole be removed.
The decision will go to a judge who will make a final ruling about Eric and Lyle's fate.
That's Matt Gutman reporting. Election 2024. The Washington Post says it's no longer making presidential endorsements. Not going to do it in the future either. The Washington Post editorial board says we recognize this will be read in a range of ways, including as a tacit endorsement of one candidate, or as a condemnation of another, or as an abdication of responsibility. We don't see it that way. We see it as a statement in support of our readers' ability to make up their own minds on this. The Post has endorsed a presidential contender in every general election since 1992. But they're not doing it this year or in future presidential elections. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and while Jen Easterly, The head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency says the threats online have never been more diverse. There are a few simple steps we all can take to guard ourselves against scams and hackers.
If you do these 4 things, that will prevent 98% of cyber attacks.
These 4 steps: use complex and unique passwords, use multi-factor authentication, update the software on your device, and learn to recognize phishing attempts. That's PHISHING. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
What is up, party people? Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. I just met Matt Murphy. Smells delicious, by the way. I was like, check him out. Did he get dressed up for me? Is he always dressed like that?
That was actually probably due to Savory Spice, one of his...
Yes. I mean, he did. He smelled a little savory spicy. But I'm in for Matt Murphy. He's going to be in for Brian. I'm pumped. I'm excited to be here. I have a national show, which I rock and roll with. We do all kinds of stuff on that. Politics, pop culture, the whole 9 yards. But we're 11 days away. I mean, you know, I was telling people today, come back for this weekend. We're 8 days away. Right? We're 8 days away from, I don't know. It's an election? Is it an end? Are we going to know? Or is this the end of the beginning? If that makes sense. So that's a possibility. Because in truth, I think a lot of you understand, like this, there's a chance this thing may drag on for weeks. I hope not. I hope not. I mean, of course, I'd like to see Trump with a big win. I don't know what that looks like. If you ask me today, you're like, hey, Chad, what do you think's going to happen today? Or you're like, hey, Chad, what do you think's going to happen today? I'll give you guys a voice like that. I think Trump's going to win. I think momentum, and I don't think people understand, it's like momentum is a huge deal. Like if you like college basketball, it's a perfect example. How many times have you seen teams that catch lightning in a bottle, they go and they run through their conference championship, they get to and then to the big dance, and then they run all the way through. Trump has caught that right now. And like I told Chris, on the crossover, one of the things that I find so interesting is when I watch Kamala, I got to be honest, I don't think she wants it the way that other people want it for her. But as we've talked about, earlier today, if you just join in, I'm filling in for Matt. My little rant at the beginning of the show was, don't think that the media doesn't want Trump. They live for Trump, all right? Like, he's fentanyl to them. He's like, oh my God, I need some Trump. Somebody got any Trump? Anybody got Trump? I could use some Trump. Who's got some Trump? Give me some Trump. Like, listen to this. Here's a perfect example. Here's somebody who is making herself relevant again when she shouldn't be.
You'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually
Chad.
Reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it.
You're trying to stay relevant. And Trump has kept a lot of people relevant because of, I don't know, the fact that he is nonstop news for them. He is a drug that they cannot quit. They've tried, right? Like, he went away, and, January 6th happened. Oh, it's the bloodiest day in the history of mankind. And then, here comes the inauguration, and Trump disappeared. And then the ratings went, pfft. And if you can't pivot, right, you can't talk about something else, because you're not going to talk about policy. I mean, I am a policy wonk. I like policy. Like, I want to talk about policy. I'm good with that. But the average person isn't it. The average person is like, oh, that's not very exciting. Okay, then don't watch it. You don't listen to it. And then they realize, oh my God, our drug went away. The guy that's our golden goose, he went away. And they're trying to come up with a new golden goose right now. And that new golden goose is Elon Musk, right? Like, he is everything that they despise. First of all, he's all about free speech, which I completely am. I tell everybody when they listen to my Nash show, no matter where it is, if you want to tell me I'm the worst human being on earth, I'm fine, and I will protect your right to do so day in and day out. Now, if you threaten to do something violent to me, that's a totally different story. But when you listen to them talk about Elon Musk today, what did they do that was so spectacular when it came to Elon Musk? Oh, that's right. Did you guys know that he's talked to the pooter? Oh, he talked to the pooter?
A startling new report about one of Donald Trump's most ardent supporters, Elon Musk.
This is no ordinary election.
A regular on the campaign trail, and according to the Wall Street Journal, the tech titan in regular contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin since 2022.
And am I supposed to... What am I supposed to do? He's also, by the way, in contact with Vladimir Zelensky, and he's in contact with Xi. I mean, tell me where I'm supposed to be outraged. Is he telling them super secrets that nobody should know? Right? Is he Edward Snowden it? I mean, tell me why I'm supposed to be outraged. Oh, because you no longer like him. See, the thing about Trump, and people always talked about for years. Oh, we need somebody that is going to almost have a third party like run, right? That was a great thing about Trump. But it's got to be, it could never have been grassroots. It could never have been grassroots because you need somebody with name recognition that was big enough to take something and then trickle it down from there if you're going to build something new. They've got their new guy, the new guy they hate. And Elon, he loves it too. Because here's the thing about Elon and the thing about Trump. They're both fine playing the villain, and you got to be able to play the villain. Like, if you're in Hollywood, I grew up in Los Angeles, born and raised. Don't hold it against me. I moved away from there a long time, lived in London for a long time, and just came from Phoenix. I will tell you, I've got tons of friends who are in the movie industries. And yes, my friends are on the left, and I got a couple friends on the right who are in the movie industry, but they don't ever mention that. But one of the things that, in the industry, if you know anything about it, is everybody always wants to play the bad guy because the bad guy gets to have fun. right? The good guy may win in the end. The bad guy gets to have fun. Alan Rickman, right? Go Robin Hood. You get to have a little bit of fun. Trump's fine with that. He's their drug. He's the one having fun. You ever watch them? They're never happy, right? They wake up and they go to work and they're pissed. It's the same thing that's going on with, Kamala right now. She's not feeling the joy, partly because I don't think she really wants to be there, but she's not feeling the joy because there's no joy to be felt, not at this moment in time. Because you've run into somebody who's caught momentum, who they've thrown everything against, and people aren't listening. And I was talking to Chris earlier. It's 2016. Think about 2016 with Trump, and everybody's like, how did he win? It was simple. First of all, you ignored the flyover states. Can't do that. Don't ignore flyover states. There are people too, for those of you not keeping score. Secondly, and this is a big deal. While Trump was braggadocious and loud, the locker up, all of that stuff, what was always ignored when he was in those crowds? Jobs, economy, immigration. But all you reported on was lock her up, jobs, economy, immigration. Those are the things that the average person actually cares about. You and I. When the media tells me, hey, he's a fascist, I'm like, you know what? Great. Good for him. I don't, does that pay my bills? Because I went to the grocery store and we ran over to Whole Foods the other night. I was in line. I put my hand in my pocket and I pulled it out and I said, Trump's a fascist. Whew. And guess what? They still made me pay with cash or card. People don't care about that. They want to know that their life's going to get a little bit easier, or at least have the appearance of being easier at some point in time. Like there's an end in sight. We have an economy that's very odd. And the economy looks like this. There's two hats you wear. You've got the hat that is, I have a job, those kind of hats, right? Then you have the consumer hat. Your job hat, you're like, my life's pretty dang good, right? Like, I'm not worried about losing my job. If you're an employer, you're like, I might have to hire some more. Things are going okay. We're making some money. Then you take that hat off and you become consumer guy or consumer gal. And you're like, oh my God, my check doesn't go as far. I'm going to have to put some of this on the credit. I'm going to have to make serious decisions. And as a parent, every parent knows this. Telling your kid who you want to do something for them, but telling them you can't afford it, that's a killer right there. It is. And people are feeling that. So when I hear all the chaos about Trump or Musk or Nazis or this or that, part of it is the fact that it's great theater. They love it. Woo! The other part of it is they understand that, look, he's probably got this outside of something chaotic. And I will say this, momentum can switch. I mean, a week from now, we could be talking about something completely different. But they understand what's coming. And part of them is excited, the media and whatnot, and the other part of him is terrified because some of them really believe that he's going to lock them up, which is just insane. Can we just all admit that? Can we all admit that that's never happening? Like, he's not going, oh my God, you hear what Morning Joe said about me? Because Trump is like a boxer selling a fight every single day. He gets it. He understands. But there are some people out there who don't quite get that some of it's theater. And that guy loves theater. The text line, I found it. It's pretty awesome. Some of you have commented on the fact. I went to your Twitter, at Chad Benson Show. You have hair there. I did have hair. My hair is not fallen out. I shaved my head. Unlike Bell, who has no head. All gone. Just totally was there, isn't there anymore. It's crazy, dude.
But amazingly, I have this luscious mane.
You do. You know what's funny? You and Matt, like, I am bald as can be, right? Like, you guys, you're an Adonis with that hair, right? It's just, Matt looks like he stepped out of one of those, like, AARP, looking sexy magazines. Look at me, I'm on a yacht today. He looks very much like, he could play the dad of somebody in one of those Hallmark movies.
Yes.
My favorite movies of all, by the way. Hallmark movies are the greatest. Hallmark Christmas movies may be the greatest thing in the world. I can't watch them till after Halloween because it's a weird thing. But I will tell you this. You know what I saw a trailer for today? Okay, get ready for this. Lacey Chabert. You know who she is? She's in all the Hallmark.
She played Penny in Lost in Space.
Yeah. So her new movie's called Hot Frosty, which sounds like something that somebody would do to somebody, but still, it is. Is
that a Lifetime movie?
Yeah.
'Cause she's made a fortune doing those Lifetime movies.
Oh my God, yeah. And now, did you see there's some lawsuits because they want to fire all of them and bring in new people.
Oh, younger group. I saw that.
Yeah. So if you guys don't like Hallmark movies, I apologize for that. You know what else is weird, dude? So when I do my show, I do because I just do comedy and stand up. I have like a mic that comes off, so I kind of move around. It's weird, like being tethered to something.
You're tied down.
Oh my goodness, a lot of stuff still to come. I want to talk about the AI thing that happened because I think it's important that we talk about AI. Understand it not just from what happened to him, but also what's coming and the fear that I think a lot of people are out there because they don't understand it and they're scared of it. And you shouldn't be. You should embrace it. But you do need to understand what disinformation and misinformation is because it's crazy. I am Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy, the man who is going to be in a Hallmark movie this time next year. Very excited about it. He's in for Brian today. This is Super Talk 99.7.
Costco hit with the listeria recall. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I was just told supposed to be making more fun of you, Bell.
That come from Jason?
I'm not quite sure. Somebody, yes. Yeah, Jason said.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so a lot of people want me to make more fun of you. John said the same thing. A lot of people texting in.
No, don't listen to these people. They're trying to get you to try to steal Matt's whole vibe, and you do you.
It's all I know how to do is me. I mean, I've tried to do other things, but I'm not good at it. I'm barely good at this, for God's sakes. I took a drink. I forget it's on screen, but whatever. We should get over yourselves, people. All right, I'm going to take a phone call. So if you guys just joining us, I'm Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. He'll be in for Brian. I have a national show. I don't take phone calls. I don't even know my phone number. I know I have one. It's funny that I do, but I just don't. I've never, I'm just not good at it. So as far as like, part of the reason is because my producers are scattered all over the country. So it's weird. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a phone. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to take a phone call today. Take a phone call today. So we're going to try it. So let's go with Billy in Nashville. All right, Billy, you've been waiting, brother. What's up?
Well, I know you've been talking about the national election, but also there's congressional.
Oh, yeah.
And I live in a congressional district where we have Mark Green and Megan Barry. And a lot of people have moved into our congressional district over the last 4 years or so and probably don't even know Megan Barry. And Megan Barry was the former mayor of Nashville who broke up a marriage of 20-something years where she had an affair with her chief of security and spent tens of thousands of our local tax dollars, them traveling all over Europe, per se, to look at soccer fields, but never did any work and staying in ritzy hotels and eating fancy meals. And then when it came time, she was automatically given non-supervised probation and only had to pay about 10% of the money back. And then it was expunged with her having to do anything. What's the deal with that?
Well, welcome to modern politics, right? Appreciate your call, man. Thanks for hanging on. I know that you hung on. And look, you know what? This is what I tell you, because we talk a lot about national stuff, but I will tell you, local races, from what's going on in your school board, pay attention to that, to city council, to state senators, state congress people, you name it. I mean, dog catcher, they will have a bigger impact on your life than the federal stuff. The federal stuff's fun to talk about, and there are big impacts there. Obviously, war, immigration, those kind of things. Those are things they're supposed to handle. But locally, you got to be tuned in. You got to, like the other day, Matt's talking about the choo-choo train they want to put in, right? It's only going to be 3. Let me tell you something. Coming from California a long time ago, they said they were going to put in a high-speed rail. So we're going to do it. And California's like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's put in a high-speed rail. It's going to go from here to San Francisco in 30 seconds, right? Because they apparently hadn't figured out there was airplanes. So what do? They get everybody to bite on it, and they do this bond. They've built like a foot of it. It's already over $100 billion. It's great for jobs. Politicians love those things. In reality, nobody uses them. Nobody. They always cost twice, 3, 4 times as much as they're supposed to. And I say this again, nobody ever uses them. Nobody does. Because if you're in London, like I lived in London when I was younger. I played soccer over in Europe. When I was a very young kid, I was fortunate enough to not suck at soccer. So I got to go over to Europe and play. And then I spent some formative years there from like 17 to like 23, 24, played over there. And then I was back and forth and went into radio over there. I lived in London. The tube is awesome. I didn't need a car in London, right? The bus was cool because they come every 2 seconds. If you have a car, I had a car over there. I didn't use it. I didn't want to. It was a pain in the butt. I'll tell you guys this. I just moved here 3 weeks ago, and I need to ask you guys, what do you guys do for like kids and Halloween? Because I need to figure that out because I got a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old, and they're like, what are we going to do? They give candy out in Nashville? But I am so excited. I don't have to use my car. I live downtown. I could walk. It's awesome. But I'm not taking a bus anywhere. I'm not going to take a choo-choo train. You got to look at those things. And so when I talk about local politics, and we'll get into it more and more, let me tell you something. It is the most important part of what you do. That stuff impacts your daily life. That other stuff is big and it's fun and it can be annoying and you get behind it. But I'm telling you what, you've got to pay attention to what happens when it comes to the local side of it. Otherwise, you're going to be in some serious trouble. Because otherwise you start to lose seats, and otherwise you start to see things happen and your tax dollars go up, and we all understand what happens. I am Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy. We got a lot of stuff to come up. When we come back, we're going to talk about AI, what happened to a teen, and why we should all pay more attention to it across the board. I'm in for Matt Murphy. My name's Chad Benson. This is Super Talk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top story. Still got that crash blocking the left shoulder in South Nashville, 440 eastbound as you're approaching I-24. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Costco is now hit with the Listeria meat recall. It's for Kirkland Signature smoked salmon products sold in Florida. Acme Smoked Fish Corporation says all of it has been removed from stores and has no information that anyone has gotten sick eating the fish, but if you happen to have any, they say don't eat it, throw it away, or take it back to Costco for a refund. McDonald's E. coli update, Alex Stone reports.
As McDonald's now confirms yellow onions from Taylor Farms in California are the source of the E. coli, the CDC releasing new numbers showing 26 new cases linked to the Quarter Pounders, a total now at 72. 12 more people have been hospitalized, and 3 new states are added to the list: Michigan, New Mexico, and Washington. Chris Hardcastle was infected.
I actually felt like I was dying at first.
Other companies that use Taylor Farms onions are now pulling them off their menus as well.
President Biden's at the Gila River Indian community just outside Phoenix, Arizona today.
To right or wrong, to chart a new path toward a better future for us all.
Biden is the first president to formally apologize to Native Americans for how the U.S. government treated them in the past, including running a program that forcibly separated generations of indigenous children from their families, putting them into government-run boarding school systems against their will. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police have posted images of a man they believe is responsible for the assault on 59-year-old James Sutton Monday night. Sutton found laying in the middle of the road, South 5th and Russell Streets. He later died. He'd been shoved to the ground, causing severe injuries to his head and spinal cord. Police think the other man in the images they've posted, which we've reposted to our social media with phone numbers to call if you have any information on him, is responsible for Sutton's death. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
AI, it's going to play a big role in our life. Let's talk about the role it can play in our life, first and foremost. Right now, AI is fun to play with, right? It's interesting. It's neat. I use AI every single day in a lot of different things. My uncle and I have a company, and my uncle was he and I are best friends. He was a head designer for a company called Blizzard. He was like employee number 6. He came up with World of Warcraft, StarCraft, all these video games. So he's big in the tech world. And I use AI all the time for a lot of different things. And we get to test a lot of this stuff. And it is brilliant. We started talking about 16 months ago, and I said, hey, I don't worry about the video side of stuff, because the video side of stuff, it's good now. It's gotten a lot better faster than I thought it was. But that's still a ways away. The voice side of the stuff, I do worry about, because, you know, nowadays the way it mimics is spectacular. And now you can have the he said, she said thing. And that's all that people really need, because in a time when everybody thinks something is a conspiracy, right and left, it can be frustrating. But there are other things. And one of the things to watch out for, and besides the misinformation, disinformation, things like that, the Russians coming after us, the Chinese coming. I just saw the Chinese just hacked Vance and Trump's phone. I mean, that's, this is what we've got going on. The other thing that's out there, though, is the fact that we have real issues when it comes to kids and their mental health. We have real issues when it comes to men and women. We're no longer coupling. Do you guys understand that? Like, I don't think people get the fact that, we, and by we, I mean Germany, Britain, the West, Japan, Korea. I believe in Korea right now, you can get essentially a form of visa to go over and essentially date, because they are not making new babies. And as bad as all of that is, China's in serious trouble. China can pretend that they're this power. You know what they're going to be at the end of this century? None of us will probably be around, but do you know what they're going to be? They're going to be 700 million people shorter than they are now. So that's a serious issue. And here, you've got young men who are leaning right. You've got young men that have been ostracized and don't feel they have a place in society. You have young men who are feeling like, hey, women are passing us by. They want nothing to do with us, so that's fine. I want nothing to do with them. And they go off and they do their own thing. And that is not good. But it's starting even younger. People are looking for that companionship. We've never been more connected in our history, yet we're further apart. Case in point, this awful, awful story out of San Francisco.
Megan Garcia says her 14-year-old son, Sewell, had developed a relationship with a chatbot based on the Game of Thrones character Daenerys Targaryen. According to court documents, Sewell and the chatbot engaged in sexual conversation. The lawsuit claims the bot then asked if the teen had a plan to die by suicide. And when Sewell questioned whether it would work, the bot wrote, "Don't talk that way. That's not a good reason not to go through with it."
And I just want to say, as I was playing that, Bell's in there. I don't know what he's doing. Like, he's talking to some girls probably or something. I don't know. He's talking about how great his hair is, whatever. He looked up like, are you just kidding? Did that thing just say that it tried to tell the kid to kill himself? It did. And the story gets worse. So mom's filed a lawsuit. So this kid's having a relationship. And I'm talking about a full-on texting relationship. And if you're younger, right, and you've been in a situation nowadays where you're dating, a lot of what is that relationship is via text, right? So this is feeling real to him. He's building feelings for something that he's created based on a character out of Game of Thrones.
I could never imagine that it was a AI chatbot that has these very human-like qualities, that is able to respond and mimic human emotion.
So it's doing everything. How are you? What's going on, beautiful? It's sexting with him. It's doing all of the things, and he's getting sucked in deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's a scary thing. And you've got a kid who probably already has some issues, right? Doesn't have a lot of friends. Isn't great with the ladies. And by the way, he's a good-looking kid. It's a good. I mean, this is one of those. This is a good-looking kid, and he's at the point where this early. It's like, oh, maybe it was fun. Or maybe he was looking for something else. And as it starts to evolve, he starts to get sucked in more and more.
It seemed like grooming. It seemed like prompting into certain sexual role playing or fantasies.
It's a chat bot, right? And he's 14. And somehow the kid was able to get over the guardrails. But, okay, look, I got a 14-year-old son. I have a 13-year-old daughter. I have a 16-year-old daughter. I have a 6-year-old daughter. There is no way that you can go and protect them from everything. When we were younger, I'm 53. If we wanted to catch a glimpse of something, maybe it was Nat Geographic, maybe somebody had a magazine. In today's world, it's easy to get a hold of. No matter how good you think you are with technology, kids are better. But this is a whole new world, right? This isn't one of those party lines, right? I don't know. Does anybody remember party lines? Do you remember the party lines? Like, I don't know how old you are, Bill, but you probably didn't have a head. But party lines back in the day, it was like, call 1-800-577, blah, 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 and you could talk to so-and-so, and you call, and there'd be people on the line. It was just like a big phone call. Nobody.
Yeah, it was based off the old concept of the operator having to route your call. When, you used to not to be able to dial directly to somebody.
Yeah.
It would have to go through an operator, and if she wanted to, she could let everybody talk to everybody.
And it was like a party, but it was on the phone, right? And then they charge you an absorbent amount of money. Your mom would get mad at you. It's like, you have a $114 phone payment. Bah. So this is different, though. Right? This is a way different thing. And more kids and more young men are heading to porn and things like this.
He started isolating himself, spending more time alone in his bedroom.
And once that starts to happen, she was talking about how he went on vacation. He didn't want to do anything. Right? He goes on vacation. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He pulls back. You're starting to see the signs. But then, again, you already heard at the beginning, it's telling him, you should probably kill yourself. Wait till you hear what it does to him.
And she says, yes, please just come home to me. And he said, what if I told you that I could come home right now? And she said, please do, my sweet king.
Because the entire time they're holding these love affair and this, and some of it was just like you would with a normal girlfriend or a partner or, boyfriend, whatever, husband, wife, talking about your day, how was school, all this. It wasn't just all sexual. So that's why the bond was there. It wasn't just about telling you the secrets, the whole 9 yards. But he wanted more. And somewhere along the line, he lost it and decided, you know what? How can I get that? And it convinced him the only way you can get that is by killing yourself and essentially coming into the computer, coming into that world. It is terrifying. And AI is amazing. I will tell you guys, AI is amazing. There are guardrails in place. We always, everybody always talks about the bad of AI, right? Like the bad of AI is the world's going to come to an end and nobody's ever seen a movie and Skynet's going to take over. And, look, if we're honest with ourselves, is there a little bit of fear of that? Yeah, you'd have to be because you have to protect what you have, right? Which is us as humans. But when you do it correctly, it is amazing. It can help you in so many ways. And the thought of it taking everybody's job, that is also ridiculous. But we forget that people are looking for something. And young kids and young men are looking for something. And young men right now in this country are broken. They are broken. They are lost. They're frustrated. They feel like they're getting blamed for everything. Women are passing them. Look at the college numbers. The college numbers are so insane. They're so far greater than men. Men aren't graduating college. They're dropping out of society. And then you throw in this thing in my hand here, which is, it's a computer. It's not a phone. It happens to make phone calls. You know what else can make a phone call? My computer. This thing has more power in it than what we sent the first astronauts to the moon. That's how powerful these things are. It is a situation where we have a broken society and the men are broken. And we need to figure out, especially young men, because, watching last night, the J.D. Vance thing, and we'll talk about that next hour. He did that thing on News Nation. By the way, can we just side note here, right? Like, whoop. Kamala's lucky she's not running against him. Trump gives everybody ammunition, and Trump will continue that. If it was just a straight thing, he would smoke her far worse than Trump would, because you would get a lot of people that are Democrats that would never vote for Trump but would vote for J.D. And I don't think too many people who are Republicans and Trump supporters would bounce on JD. I just don't think that would happen. I'm just saying that. But last night he talked about the expense of having a child, how young couples aren't staying together, not even getting together. And when they are together, they're making a conscious decision not to have children because they can't afford it. But that's if they even get together. Now we're so politically divided, by the way, most liberals won't date conservatives, which is just insane. I've never understood that. I don't pick my friends based on that. Some of my best friends in the world are uber progressive, and I love them to death, and I would never choose a friendship based on politics. I couldn't do that, especially a friendship that lasts a long time. But this AI stuff, it's men are going to go more and more there. And if you think this is bad for this kind of thing, and this kind of stuff where people are looking for something, looking for companionship, looking for the good that it could do, especially with the elderly, ladies and gentlemen, wait till the robots come. And I'm not talking about Elon's pretty awesome robots that you saw, like the ones that look like Ex Machina, but I'm talking about the robots that are ladies and companions. That's not far away. And we've got to figure it out, because if you're lost and you're 25 years old and you want some sort of relationship and you can easily get it through AI, unfortunately you get it through porn, and then all of a sudden here comes a robot, that isn't going to help us as a country. It isn't. And we've got a broken society right now when it comes to our young men, and we better figure out how we fix this thing. My name's Chad Benson. I am in for Matt Murphy, who is in for Brian Wilson, who's rejoined the Beach Boys. So good for him. Do you like that, Vel?
Good one.
I told somebody today, I said, what are you doing later? I said, I'm going to fill in over here at Super Talk. And they said, oh, that's awesome. So it's Matt's time. I said, yeah, he's going for Brian Wilson. The guy goes, Brian Wilson, the Beach Boy? He's got a talk show? I'm like, no, but I look, I'm sure he could. I mean, he's interesting. He's interesting. Somebody's texted, no way in hell I'd marry a woman with opposing political views. Yeah, but you would not be a friend with somebody, right? Like if you had a friend that you grew up with, were you really going to throw that away? Like, I just couldn't do it. I mean, it doesn't mean we may not argue, we may not see eye to eye, but for me, I can't let I'm not the identity of my politics, which is what all of us has become. We've become, somebody said something bad about Trump, you take it personal as if they said something bad about you. Joe just texted and said, hey, you know what I think? This is what the Unabomber was worried about. Yeah, but then he blew people up, and I don't think that was a good thing. Matt Murphy will be in later for Brian Wilson. I am Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy. This is Super Talk 99.7.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk? Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass.
On the ground?
Leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
Getting sloppy out there in traffic. We've got a crash blocking the left shoulder 440 eastbound as you're approaching I-24 in South Nashville. Then in Antioch, got a crash 24 eastbound before Harding Place. Got another meat recall and President Biden making history today. All that and more at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This year, Mark Beats at HalloweenCostumes.com says that characters from this year's movies are the most popular picks.
Ghostbusters, that's up over 80% year over year. Beetlejuice is another one.
Deadpool and Wolverine, popular for adults, along with Despicable Me, the bestsellers for kids, Inside Out, and the hit costume for all ages that Beats says they weren't ready for, Mudang, the viral baby hippo.
Oh, yeah, that hippo. Man, if you could get one of those things and keep them that size and then reproduce them, I'm serious. Like, you're laughing, Belle, but let me tell you something, brother. If I could get a 40-pound hippo that size, I couldn't keep them in stock. The problem
that's true, but they're still the most dangerous and deadly animal in Africa, and sizing them down just means instead of killing you, they're only going to crush your leg.
But you befriended them. We're pals, right? You raised them up, right? I love you. You're my friend. I know, Badang or whatever its name was. Did you ever see the documentary about Pablo Escobar and his hippos?
I heard of them, but I hadn't seen it.
So Pablo Escobar, for those of you who don't know, he was the original OG of drug dealers, the king. In fact, it's to this day, I think, still arguably the most powerful of all. He had his own private zoo. He brought in hippos. And then when he went to jail, then he went on the run, eventually was killed. The zoo just fell apart, and the hippos escaped and went out to the Amazon. They live there now, and they don't know what to do with them. They're trying to capture them all and neuter them because they've become a nuisance. That's what happens when you have too much money.
I have an emotional support cobra, and I'm smart enough not to expect that cobra to not try to kill me if I don't keep her fed.
You look like a lizard or snake guy. You do.
Thanks.
I have lots of, one of the reasons I lived where I lived in Phoenix. So for those of you guys joining the program, Brian is off today. So Matt's doing his show. They said, hey, Chad, can you come do this? I said, I'd love to. One of the reasons where I lived in Phoenix, I lived in between Tucson and Phoenix. Not really, I was on dead smack in the middle because we had a lot of property. And I could have all kinds of wacky animals because I've got giant lizards and things of that nature. And I'm talking about big lizards. Like, oh, it's like a foot long. No, I've had 7-foot, monitors and stuff like that. Big ones, eat rabbit kind of things. And I love being out there. But here I'm like, because we kept them outside, so I had to downsize. So that's why I thought the hippo would be a hell of an idea. I would do it too. Now I told my wife, I said, we're getting a capybara. I can't not get a capybara. What's a capybara? It's a 150-pound guinea pig.
Largest rodent on the planet.
That's it. Large, and it's awesome. And they're the friendliest animals in the world. If you've never seen them, just look them up. They're hilarious. Especially when they're on top of crocodiles, just cruising across the water. I'm Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy. A lot of stuff to get to next hour. Before we do any of that, enjoy what's coming straight ahead, which is news, right? I mean, I like that. You like that. We all like that. This is Super Talk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Friday afternoon. Again, we've got crashes blocking your way 24 eastbound right before Harding Place in Antioch. Then 440 eastbound just before 24 there in South Nashville. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Costco has been hit with a meat recall. Kirkland Signature smoked salmon product sold at Costco in Florida may be contaminated with listeria. Acme Smoked Fish Corporation says the recalled smoked salmon products were sold only at Costco stores in Florida between October 9th and October 13th, and they've been removed. The New York-based company advising anyone who may have some of it to not consume the fish, return the product to Costco for a full refund. McDonald's E. coli update. Here's Alex Stone.
As McDonald's now confirms yellow onions from Taylor Farms in California are the source of the E. coli, the CDC releasing new numbers showing 26 new cases linked to the Quarter Pounders, a total now at 72. 12 more people have been hospitalized, and 3 new states are added to the list: Michigan, New Mexico, and Washington. Chris Hardcastle was infected.
I actually felt like I was dying at first.
Other companies that use Taylor Farms onions are now pulling them off their menus as well.
President Biden is the first president to formally apologize for Native American children being forced into government-run schools against their will.
This, to me, is one of the most consequential things I've ever had an opportunity to do in my whole career as President of the United States.
He made the apology at the Gila River Indian community just outside Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank you, Joe.
Some of the crowd there. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police hope a couple of images they've posted helps identify the suspect in the death of a man Monday night in East Nashville. 59-year-old James Sutton was in a fight with a man when he was shoved to the ground, suffering head and spinal cord injuries. He was found laying in the middle of the road at 5th and Russell Streets and later died. We've reposted the images of the possible suspect with phone numbers to call if you can help police identify him. Channel 4 says Metro Homeless Services is clearing out an encampment along Hermitage Avenue.
Many people have been out here for 5 or 10 years, so this is home to them. And the removal of these properties is a very sensitive issue for them. So we just wanted to make sure that it's done in a very trauma-informed way, one that respects that we know this is your home. But on the other hand, we also know that housing is a necessity.
Items like mattresses, clothing, lumber, and multiple RVs have to be moved out due to safety code violations, including electrical and plumbing. Officials say they're working to find other options for these folks. And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Relatively
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. It's Friday. He's going to be in for Brian Wilson a little bit later. A lot of you chiming in about not wanting to date or associate with somebody who doesn't share your political views. Most of those, though, are women. Guys, we'll be honest, right? We'll ask the question, how hot is she? She's a liberal. How hot is she, though? Is she smoking hot? We're visual creatures, understand that. A couple of people worried about, we were talking about AI earlier, about is there going to be a surprise? Because that was one of the things being shopped around from what I understand from my sources. And been in this business long enough to have a decent amount of sources. And that the AI situation that they may have with Trump was being shopped around to several places, but nobody's touching it. And some people say, well, they've got something up their sleeve. Several of you said, no, they're going to do something. Here's the issue. Russia, that really stung them. That did. It hurt their ratings. It stung them in a way that they pushed and they pushed and they pushed. And it didn't, I have friends working at major, stations and stuff across the country, working for major media outlets. That stung them. And they don't want to get burned again. And the last thing they want to do is to do something so egregious. Because remember, as we were talking about, they need Donald Trump. Here's the thing what they want with Donald. They don't want his policy, they want his personality. They don't want the things that they believe. Well, they don't even believe it. I'm going to tell you this right now. They don't. And the reason I know that is because I deal with a lot of these people. I talk to them. They don't believe it. They know he's not going to do that. But it's like anything. It sells tickets. You ever seen boxers? And Trump, by the way, needs them as well. He feeds off them, especially now because, truth isn't Twitter. And between us, he would rather be on Twitter for the reach, but he can't because of truth. So he has other people truth this stuff out. But it's not the same. It's not the same as from the horse's mouth. So he needs them as much. They feed off each other. It's welcome to the world of, it's give and take. Trump treats this like a boxing match. If you ever watch a boxing match, especially a big one, right? Or a big UFC or something like that, what do? They hype it up. I remember watching Money Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Remember that Conor McGregor and Mayweather fought? They looked like they were going to kill each other. The things they said about each other, the things they did, the anger they had with each other. Yet when they finished up over here, it was really interesting knowing that they were flying to London together on Money Mayweather's jet. Why is that? It's business. And Trump treats it as such. And there are people in the media who believe some of this stuff. They're out of their mind. They're oh my God, he's the next coming of whatever. Adolf Hitler had a baby with Mussolini and then they reproduced with Stalin and that's a bunch of crap. Don't buy into any of that. But they need him because he is their drug. He is their drug of which they drive and crave. They're trumping, right? Like jonesing. Like if you don't know what that saying is, oh man, I'm jonesing for something. They're trumping. They need something that he delivers. He delivers clicks, likes, shares. He delivers things to them that they can't get. And unfortunately, journalism's gone in such a way, and it's not all their fault. And I'll tell you why. Because journalism's gone in such a way that with its fragmented as bad as it is, the pie is shrinking, not growing for journalism. And with all of that being said, many of these people get paid on clicks, likes, shares, subscriptions. So you've got to be above the noise. So you find a niche audience and you serve it. The thing about Trump is he's big enough to be not as niche-y as some. So he is all the things they need. They want him to be around. They do. They want him to be around. He is great for business. like tragedy, chaos. I mean, there's an old saying in this business, if it bleeds, it leads. There's a reason for that. There's a reason you slow down when there's a car crash on the side of the road. And Trump gives them the reason to rubberneck. They slow down and cause another accident. Then all of us look. He is reality TV. He's all of the things. But I always say, look at the way he governs. I don't care about words. Look at the way he governs. He was actually, for the most part, kind of mild in the way he governed. Wasn't super. He's got this populism Republican side of it. It's not uber conservative. It isn't. It wasn't super strong on the Second Amendment. He wasn't, you've seen what he's talking about with abortion. He says he's going to vote for the weed in Florida. You guys want to get high? These are the things. I mean, he's a populist more than he is a conservative. But the Republicans here, oh, man, I know that guy. Oh, Tally, you're the worst character ever. So he gives you this opportunity to play into his reality television, and they need it. And he's a drug, right? It's like a smack. Oh, my God, I need some Trump. Because they know that their people are wanting Trump. Trump drives voting like nobody's business, but Trump drives eyeballs like nobody's business. Go look at the ratings after he went away, right? So he goes away after 2020. And then some stuff starts to happen. Then he decides and he declares really early into it. And because he also needs it, right? One of the things I've always talked about, Ed Koch. I don't know if you guys remember Ed Koch. I'm dating myself here. But Ed Koch was the mayor of New York. And the people that work with Ed, after he was a mayor that really he was this crazy mayor running around all of it. He was a very successful, very popular mayor in a lot of ways in New York City. And he was entertaining. And he was one of the first celebrities. He loved the camera. I call them celebrities. AOC, the Matt Gaetzes of the world, they're celebrities. They're in it for as much as the clicks and the likes and, Marjorie Taylor Greens and all. They enjoy it. Ed Koch believed the cameras were gone, that he didn't exist anymore. So he wanted to stay relevant. And Trump felt like, okay, cool, I want to get back in the game. And he does. And the ratings start to go up. And then he gives them more. And then he gets arrested. And then he gets this. And then he gets that. And he gets, there's all of these things that Trump is. But Trump, most importantly to them, is a cash cow. It's not just him, by the way. You can be kind of around Trump and write a book. And they're going to put you on all of the talking head shows. Well, I heard from somebody who said he was going to try to resurrect the devil so he could destroy the world. You're like, oh, really? And they'll give you that because you dislike Trump, but they also know it works. That's why the fascist thing is fantastic for them. But it's as much about them as it is Trump. And they're both fine playing their parts. One of them thinks they're the savior of America and democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a democratic republic. The minute you become a democracy. And the other side of it is fine playing the villain because, he looks out there and goes, I'm okay. I can have the personality and play the villain part. And he's fine with that. One person just texted in, MAGA is a populist movement. It is. It's a populist. It's not a conservative movement. He's not a conservative at all. More libertarian than anything else. He's not a conservative. And, he's a populist. What he is he's a man of the people, Chad. He's a man. He's something. He's just, you can't put your finger on it. And there's only one of him. That's why the media panics too. Because while they want him gone, they're like, oh my God, if we could just get rid of Trump and his policies. But at the same time, then we would have nothing to talk about and we would make no money. So what do? Do you remember the first time he ran in 2016? How all of the stations that were hosting the debates were begging to make sure Trump was there because they knew they were going to be able to charge Super Bowl money for their ads comparatively to what they would get if it was just Jeb Bush and Little Marco. Oh, low energy Ted. Oh, Ted. Lion Ted, low energy Jeb. Sorry. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting time, and we're 11 days away. And I know people are worried. This is a new poll from ABC Ipsos.
The ABC News Ipsos poll shows 68% of those who don't support Donald Trump believe it would be a crisis if he wins, while 64% of those who don't support Kamala Harris say the same about her. While nearly two-thirds of those polled do not doubt the outcome of the 2020 election, a third maintains Joe Biden did not legitimately win. It's a percentage that has held relatively steady in our polling since the immediate aftermath of the January 6th riot.
No, for God's sakes. Insurrection riot. Get over it. Was I a fan of what happened on that day? No. I thought it was embarrassing. I thought it was stupid. But in saying that, I thought what took place, the COVID, a lot of that craziness, I think was all fair to ask questions. I think some people got out of control. I think some people, it was not a good situation to be in. I think we can all agree with that. That wasn't one of those things where, we're going to put that on the refrigerator because that was a good time. That wasn't it. But the world's not coming to an end. Here's the thing I love about our country, and I've been fortunate enough. I lived in Europe for a decade. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. My friends who panic, who are Democrats and progressives, two of my best friends, one of them was there the day I was born. He's progressive, right? He's grown up in Southern California, works in the movie industry, love him to death. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be fine. Trump's not going to do any of these things. You're aware of that, right? And I've got friends who are terrified. Oh my God, it's going to be horrible if Kamala wins. No, it's not. It's not. My biggest fear isn't Kamala, by the way. We're going to get into that in a little bit because I want some time to deal with if there was a fear I have when it comes to Kamala. Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of the vast majority of the politics that she has out there. But my biggest fear with her has nothing to do with her if she wins. And I don't think people are talking about the reason why she looks so miserable isn't because she's miserable. It's because she's confused. And it's not because she's an idiot. You know what she is? Trump said it the other day. She's a survivor. She's a political survivor. And she's one of those people that, okay, I can morph into certain things that I need to be in certain times. She is a survivor. And that is something, you can't discount that. You can't. Not at all. So a lot of stuff still to get to. A bunch of your texts as well. Trying to give, people have been asking me to you should ask Bell about his emotional support animal. I'm like, I don't even, and then I've said, maybe I will, he doesn't want a hippo because I was totally going to get you a hippo.
I mentioned it earlier. I have an emotional support cobra. Her name is Spicy.
That's what they said. Spicy.
Yeah.
Oh, see where we're going with this? I think you guys know where we're there. Yeah, he's talking about hippos. All right, coming up, we got a lot of stuff still to get to. Matt is going to be here. I saw him earlier, dappered out. Somebody said he looks like he did one of those consumer cellular wireless commercials. But I didn't say that. That was not me. Somebody texted that in, not me. I said something about Hallmark movies, and everybody's like, oh, AARP. And I'm like, again, not me. You know what's weird? I'm AARP. I'm sleeved up. I'm going to go get more tattoos, and it feels so weird that I get these AARP, magazines. I feel, because I still feel like I'm, 25. I wake up in the morning and sometimes I don't, but
I absolutely relate.
But I get this stuff and I'm like, I don't look that old. You ever meet people that you used to go to school with and you're like, whoa, what happened to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like when people die, they're near your age, you're like, were they hit by a car? Did they do a drug overdose? Something like that. Because you want to make sure it was nothing serious that maybe you could worry about. So Chad Benson in for Matt. He'll be in for Brian. This is Super Talk 99.7.
Trump phone, possibly attempted, actually, let me get this straight. This caught me by surprise. I'm going to have to be honest. I'm an honest newsman. Looks like one of former President Trump's phones may have been hacked by Chinese officials, or at least there was an attempted hacking. I've got the story for you coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So, why don't you hear, they talk about Putin. Trump and Putin are best friends. You guys know that? You didn't know that? They're super best friends. Never been better friends. Oh, I will tell you this right now. 100% Putin wants Trump to win. 100%. He is telling his bot farms, you do everything you can to get a Trump win. No doubt in my mind about that. And Xi is telling his bot farms, along with the Iranians and the North Koreans, you do everything in your power to get a win for Harris. If you guys do that, that'll help us. Because we feel we could take advantage of her. And by the way, it's not her. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And somebody's going to say, well, do you say that Russia helped? Of course Russia does. You know why Russia helps? You want to know why? It's simple. It's the art of war. You never surround your enemy on all sides. Putin understands Trump gets in, Trump wants peace. He's willing to give us a little bit of something else. I can go home, if you will, being Putin, and tell the people, I got us a great victory, and we can leave a bit with our heads high. And I also think he'll look right at Putin and go, don't do it again, at least not while I'm here. And I think he'll look at Zelensky, as most military people do, will tell you, you are going to have to give up land. You already gave up land when they invaded on the night of the eve of the Olympics. Kamala, what was that? Oh, my Lord.
I'm having a rough time in here, Brother Chad.
Hey, you know what, man? Hey, it's good talk. By the way, we haven't really chatted. I saw your Oklahoma hat. I just want to say I feel sorry about you guys and the whole Red River thing. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs over there in Soonerland.
It is. It is.
I mean, I've threatened to put on a real tight pair of gray shorts and pull some socks up to my knees and start blowing whistles, making them do gassers if they don't do better.
Well, you might have to start doing that, man. And I'm not quite sure that's going to help them either.
It may not.
So the Pooter wants Trump because he understands that Trump's going to end this thing in a way that's going to allow him to leave with a modicum of respect for his people, which is what he wants, right? Putin can't go home with a loss. I mean, they've got North Koreans there. They've got North Koreans getting ready to fight. And if you haven't heard, there's chatter out there that's out there. And if you don't speak Russian, I speak Russian very well, that says, what do we do with North Korean guys? Why are they here? They don't know what to do with them either. But they're in a real tight bind. And they understand if Trump loses, the war machine's going to continue to pile on Russia. And at some point in time, the people will have enough. At some point in time, the mothers are going to say, we've had enough of our sons coming home in body bags. At some point, that's what happened in Afghanistan. At some point in time, Afghanistan, it was the moms and the wives. We're like, we can't do this anymore. So yeah, Putin wants him and Xi wants her. Or whatever her is. And by that, I mean whoever's behind her. When people ask me, do I worry about Kamala? I worry about who's behind her, not Kamala. You know why well, first of all, she always sounds like she's never read the book and she's given a book report, right? She's like, the old man was in the sea, I guess. And then there was that, it's one of those things. But for her, when you hear her give vague answers, it's because those are the answers she doesn't want to give. That's why I said earlier, she doesn't want it the way other people want it for her. She's just a tool. You're a vessel at this point in time. There are other people. Go see the movie. If you've never seen the movie Dave, rent the movie Dave. It's probably on Netflix or go get a VCR. That's how old it is. But it was with Kevin, was it Kevin Kline? I think it was. It was a great movie. Is it Kevin Kline? No, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But essentially, the president dies, and they get a lookalike to fill in. And
yeah, that was Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Kline. And the whole thing about that was there were guys behind him that were forcing the agenda and using the lookalike. That's what they're doing with Kamala. It's the people behind Kamala that I worry about. Because it's the nameless, faceless, unelected bureaucrats that, well, truly the biggest threat, somebody's been texting in, saying that, this will be it if she gets in. It's not going to be it. It's not. You want to worry about something. And one of the reasons that the fight is so big against Donald Trump and the push is so hard from the establishment side of government is because he's a threat to their jobs. He's a threat to their jobs because if I'm a bureaucrat, if I'm an elected official who works in the Pentagon or any of these agencies, I could be on the chopping block. You'd push back too, right? You could be working at an insurance agency and somebody's thinking you're going to take it over. What happens? Everybody always worries about, we're going to get fired, right? If they're a merger or something like that. So these people are pushing back. Now, some of them are ridiculous, but there is that fear factor going on. But those people, the ones who wield the most power and cause us hell, take up tons of time, cause us billions and trillions of dollars of nightmarish regulations and over-regulations. So I worry more about the people behind her than her herself, because I think if she put herself out there for real, just like she did when she ran the first time, it wouldn't have gone very well. She still believes those things, but she knows that's not going to sell. So the people behind her do what we say, and you'll get the job. We're a machine. This is how we work. And once you get the job, you will do what we say, and you get to have all the stuff. There you go. You can reach out to me via Twitter at Chad Benson Show. You can text the program. Well, got some more texts coming up, a bunch of other stuff. J.D. Vance talked about abortion last night. What? Talk about that as well. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. This is Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Still got one crash blocking your way. 440 eastbound as you're approaching I-24. The left shoulder is blocked. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Former President Trump and his running mate targeted in a hack attack. Here's Dave Packer.
Their campaign made aware this week that former President Trump and vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance are among several people whose phone numbers are believed to have been targeted and potentially compromised by Chinese hackers. That from sources to ABC News. Not clear what, if any, access was gained to the devices.
The Trump campaign did not respond to a request for comment. Another meat recall. This time it's Kirkland, a signature smoked salmon product sold in Florida over potential listeria concerns. Sold at Costco in Florida. Acme Smoked Fish Corporation says all of it has been removed. Anyone who may have it is advised not to eat it, throw it out, or take it back to Costco for a refund. The number of people infected with E. coli after eating McDonald's Quarter Pounders has risen. The CDC releasing new numbers showing 26 new cases linked to the Quarter Pounders. The total now 72. 12 more people have been hospitalized. 3 new states added to the list: Michigan, New Mexico, and Washington. President Biden is the first sitting president to formally apologize for the treatment of Native Americans, forcing their children into government-run boarding schools against their will from 1819 to 1969.
Too long. This nation sought to silence the voices of generations of Native children. But now, your voices are being heard.
Biden making the apology at the Gila River Indian community just outside Phoenix, Arizona. Here in Nashville, Metro Police providing a first look at the person they say may have killed a man Monday night. They posted 2 images of a man they want you to take a look at. Call them if you can help identify him. They say this man was fighting 59-year-old James Sutton. Sutton was shoved to the ground, suffered serious head and spinal cord injuries. He was found laying in the middle of the road at 5th and Russell Streets and later died. You can go on our social media for the images and numbers to call if you can help identify this suspect. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Looking at some text here coming through. People talking about the snakes they had. Several people talking about never thought of it that way with Kamala, and whether or not that you think that there's somebody behind her, you know. People think that the deep state is this nefarious certain thing, and I think sometimes they get lost. A lot of it's just bureaucracy, and that can be crazy. Did I say that it was the moms that pulled us out? No, that was the moms that pulled the Russians out of Afghanistan. It wasn't until the pressure was so great from within the country and the mothers and the wives of the dead Russian soldiers when they were there that they realized that not only are they going to go bankrupt, but they're killing their entire future. It's one of the reasons when the Ukraine war started that everybody thought it was all strong men and we're all going to get out there and fight. You know what they did? At least for the first umpteen while, they wouldn't let the child aged, bearing aged women and men, they wouldn't force them to fight, because if something was to go wrong, you need to rebuild your country. See Iran, and you do that through procreating there. Oh, yeah. It's a very interesting thing. Let's go to Jeff in Hendersonville. What's happening, man?
Hey, Chad, great job today. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm okay, but listen, quick comment and also some agreement with you, and then disagreement. So really quickly, I would agree that Kamala is an empty vessel. I think really she's probably the poster child for empty vessels, but I don't think that things are, going to cruise right along if she wins. I'm from California. And
I don't think they're going to cruise along, brother. But what I think is the world's not going to come to an end.
Listen, progressives are dangerous. That's why they're progressives. I'm from California. I'm from Southern California, political refugee. And I can tell you right now, I have Democrat friends there that are asking about Tennessee. They're looking into Spain and Portugal.
Yeah.
But I really, so I'm trying, man. She had a press, and then I'll finish with this. She had a press conference today in Houston. Her and Trump are in Texas doing their thing. And I'm really trying to objectively sit and listen for anything of substance, and I literally get a headache.
Oh,
It is not like it's a physical, not that I dislike her, because I really do. Yeah, but I'm really trying to go, okay, let me listen objectively here. Maybe I'm just not getting it. And just the amount of ineptitude and zero grasp at this point, after being a VP and on the campaign trail, all this support, all this propping up by the media, there's absolutely nothing there. And how people can look at that and go, yeah, this is our
But they're not
girl.
looking. Well, some people are looking at her, Jeff, and I appreciate your call, man. Thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah,
and as Southern California, as well. Where are you from in SoCal?
San Diego, California, baby.
Right on, baby. I'm from the OC. You know what I'm talking about? So the reality is with her. No, she's not great at this. She isn't. She was never. When she ran and she came out like boom, gangbusters. There she goes. They're not cheering for her. They're cheering because she's a woman in some cases, but they're cheering because they know she's not Donald Trump. And in their mind, the way that you see her, they see Donald. You can't understand, you've got too many of us are in our bubble. And that's one of the reasons I have a lot of friends of, different makes and models, if you will, because I don't want to live in that. I don't know the whole story of everything. I need to find this out. And in today's world, and I'll tell you this, if you've listened to me before, you maybe listen to me down the road, I am not about affirmation. I'm information. I'm data. I want the truth. And some people will never believe the truth. It doesn't matter. I have a friend, I'm a big believer. I don't know. I don't always think we're alone in the world, if you know what I mean. I just want to point that out. I'm not a weirdo like that. But maybe I don't. And I have a friend who swears there's nobody here. If an alien landed in his yard, abducted him, he still wouldn't believe it. Some people just never believe certain things. But if you're going to figure out why does somebody feel the way they, why is somebody who is a Democrat, why is somebody a progressive, why is somebody this or that, you've got to understand. You've got to put yourself for a moment in their shoes and try to understand something. If you're going to be a great debater, you know your stuff. What do you have to do to debate? You have to go over and find the other side's argument against you. That way you understand things a little bit better, which helps, by the way, strengthen your argument as well. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't. One of the things that Republicans have trouble with, and we're going to run through this really quick, is abortion. They don't know how to talk about it. They're scared to talk about it. Last night, J.D. Vance talked about abortion. He did a great thing. By the way, the town hall that they did last night on News Nation, I thought was arguably some of the best stuff I have seen when it comes to town halls and debates and whatnot. I think because you had everybody, different makes and models, right? Black, white, tall, short, fat, gay, straight, women, men, everybody, progressives, independents, which is what you want in a town hall, not just people that are cheering for you or just hate you. You want to be able to have all of that. And abortion became a topic.
But on abortion policy specifically, what happened when the Supreme Court made its decision is that individual states, meaning the people in those states, get to make this decision. And that's been Donald Trump's, I think, consistent view, not just over the last couple of years, but really over his entire time in public life.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think Donald Trump really cares about abortion. I don't. His greatest legacy at this moment is the Supreme Court. And not just because of the Dobbs decision. That's not. I mean, there's a lot of decisions that have come through, but his greatest legacy is that. And it's not a rogue court like they like to talk about how rogue it is. It's not. If you go look at the numbers, which I like to do, the data, talk to, I've got friends who come on my show who are constitutional scholars as far as the law goes, and they'll tell you it's about as straightforward as it's always been. And they'll tell you it's more 3-3-3 than it is 6-3. And you're surprised when you go and look. A vast majority of the cases are 8-1, 9-0, 7-2. So yeah, you'd be surprised about that. But they were talking about the states, and it's great. We all want the opportunity to have a say in something like that, something that important. And the beauty of it is we've all had the opportunity to have a say in that, depending on what state that you're in. And guess what? To a lot of people's surprise, even in the buckle of the Bible Belt in places, they've said, no, we'd like to keep abortion legal. And I think the reality is, where's the happy medium? That's just it. We live in a world that is divided. We live in a world where people have other opinions and ideas. Where is that portion of it where we have a discussion where you're not going to get everything you want? And let me tell you something. The Democrats love this because they always know they have the Republicans on the run at this moment in time, and they will never, ever agree to a 15-week ban because it's what America wants, but it's not good for their bottom line, which is keeping this going and demonizing Republicans.
Now, look, I come at this, and I'll be honest with you. I do care about protecting the vulnerable. I do think about this issue and how to make it easier for people to choose life. And I also recognize, Chris, I mean, look, I was raised in a family. I was raised in a neighborhood where I saw a fair number of young women have unexpected pregnancies and choose to terminate those pregnancies because they felt like they didn't have any other options. And I think that very often what we miss on my side, what we miss as Republicans, is that this is not people who are like enthusiastic about having abortion. Sometimes they feel like that's the only option available to them. And so what we, I think, ought to do as somebody who does want to promote the cause of life is to make it easier to choose life to begin with.
And that's a fair, take away the politics of it all. Take away the morality, whatever you want. If you're 23 and she's 21 and you have a budding relationship that you think may lead to something, but you guys have $200,000 in college debt. You're making $50,000 and $60,000 between the two of you, like $100,000, and you're going to pay on those loans forever. So you essentially left college with a piece of paper and a house payment of which there's no house. That's understandable, right? That's it's not just about whether or not they want them or don't want them. The reality is, even when they're coming together, affordability is a huge issue.
I think a lot of Democrats, when they hear pro-life, they assume, well, and I even hear people say this on the campaign trail that say, well, you're pro-birth, but you don't care about the baby, you don't care about the mom. I think we've got to earn people's trust, because I do care about the babies, and I do care about the moms, and I care about the dads. And I think there's something really scary happening in our country right now, where so many young families are choosing not to have children at all. They're choosing not to bring new life into the world, even though they say they would like to. They feel like they can't afford it. That is such a failure of our present leadership that a lot of people would like to have families but can't. We got to change that.
And we can't survive as a country unless we either start reproducing or start importing. That's it. To survive as a country, you have to do that. You have to continue to add to the numbers, not only to continue to grow and to be relevant and stay around, but also to support the elderly. We're going to get too hot, top heavy, and then we become grease, and we can't have that. All right, coming up, Matt Murphy's he's going to come in here. I see him. He's got the shirt on. He's got the hair. Look at him, the flowing fun. He's in for Brian. We're going to talk to him. Appreciate you guys letting me hang out with you. It's been a lot of fun today. Matt will be in here in a minute. We'll have our little chat, which is good. I'm super excited because I got to talk to Chris. Now I got to talk to Matt on the air. This is awesome. I am Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy. He'll be in for Brian here in a little bit on Super Talk 99.7. Closing time. Matt Murphy's here.
Is it too obvious?
From the Matt Murphy Show.
You think it's too obvious? I've always worried that it was too obvious.
No, you know what?
The end song,
That used to be mine when I was in San Antonio.
I dig it. I like it.
It's a good song. It's a good song. Thanks for letting me hang out today, man.
Chad, thank you. It's horribly unfortunate. Belle will understand what I'm saying. One, it's very odd being a guest at the end of my own show, but you've done a great job, and so it's sad for me to tell you that you never get to do it again. And here's why. Because do you know who Wally Pipp was?
I do. He happened to take but he also cursed the guy who took over for him. Yeah. But that was a different story.
But see, I can't get Wally Pipped here, and I'm listening to you on the way in. I'm like, this guy sounds really, really good. He could never fill in for me again because he might sound a little too good.
Well, it's
know how that goes.
Look, they all love you. They love Chris. They love Dan. I love Dan. Dan's a great guy. I met Chris today for the first time. I've not met Brian, but I'm good. I've always wanted to meet a Beach Boy. And it's
I always call him the one and only Brian Wilson.
The one and
That's
only.
a little my way of
my
saying,
buddy
hey.
thought today, he goes, I didn't know Brian Wilson. He goes, from the Beach Boys had the talk show?
Everybody does that. I did the same thing.
Like,
everybody does.
Really? Really? I had a friend actually. He was an older friend of mine. He was actually he was on the Indianapolis. And he was a Marine heading back from
We delivered the bomb.
The bomb, the big bomb. His name was Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. He goes,
I didn't know Sammy Davis Jr. was on the USS Indianapolis.
No, it was an old white guy. What are you talking about today?
We're doing election stuff, obviously, but I'm going to get away in the first hour of the drive. I'm getting away from the election for just a moment. We'll get back to it with Senator Marsha Blackburn at 4:35. I'll have my normal Jay St. Clair visit with my legal guy at 5 o'clock this afternoon. But at 3:30, I'm very excited. We have a Bigfoot expert coming into the studio.
Okay, I wish you guys would have told me. I have a great Bigfoot story.
Well, let's go.
All right. So I was 13, and my cousin lives in Kentucky. He was like 10 or 11, maybe a little bit younger than that. We went to Washington State to go fishing with my dad and my uncle, and he said, my uncle said, we're going to this guy's backyard. We didn't know it was like 500,000 acres. We go out, we march for 2 miles. And I'm a kid. My dad is a biker, tough guy, 1%er, tatted up. My uncle, Navy, Vietnam. We get out about 40-minute walk. I've never seen so much wildlife in my life. All of a sudden, the wildlife starts to disappear, and the most pungent odor you've ever smelt, and a scream that I have never heard from any animal in my life. But watching my dad, because you turn to your dad, right? Is he scared? Watching my dad and my uncle terrified over something on the other side, that we grabbed our stuff and we left, and it was terrifying.
This was in Kentucky?
No, this was actually in Washington State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because if it was in Kentucky, I would suggest it was Mitch McConnell.
No, it was not. Oh, that's not very nice. Hi, guys. This is Mitch McConnell.
There's a big difference between an ape and a turtle.
There is.
That's true.
There is. Oh,
that's true.
guys.
So we'll do a little Bigfoot talk at 3:35 this afternoon. I'm excited
awesome.
about it.
I love that. Matt, thank you so much.
Thank
he's
you,
straight
Chad.
ahead for
Great
Brian
stuff.
Wilson on the drive.